Welcome to the Pub Sports Radio NBA Closing Time Show, Monday, January 4th. Ian Cameron, Conor Mack, and Skee Profit to break down the NBA card. It's good to be with you. We're going to settle into our regular routine here, our regular flow, if you will. 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, breaking down the NBA card. Let's get right into it because it's a big slate on Monday. That's why we picked Monday, because we knew there would be a lot of games on Mondays the rest of the season. Tonight is no different. We start with Charlotte Hornets, Philadelphia 76ers, Philly 8-point favorites, 222 the total in this game. There's one of those situations. Get ready for it from a handicapping standpoint. You're going to be seeing these situations where teams are playing each other back-to-back games, same building. These two teams played Saturday night in Philadelphia. Sixers ran away with it, shot the ball extremely well in that victory over the Charlotte Hornets. Right after Charlotte had notched a really impressive win over Dallas in their previous game. They lost to Memphis, but they lose to Philadelphia 127-112 on Saturday night. A real good shooting night, obviously, for the Sixers. 47 of 79 from the field in that game. Really good from long distance as well. Philadelphia, once you just get a team that's obviously capable and talented like they are, making those kind of shots, it can be sometimes a long night. I think it's going to turn the other way for Philadelphia. I still think overall, Charlotte, when you look at them in the underdog role, a team that I think is a team you might be able to make some money with them. I mean, I took them against Dallas. It worked out. Didn't work out the other night against Philadelphia, but now they play that same team, getting 8.5, 9 points here in this game against the 76ers, although that number's come down to 8 now pretty much across the board. But I agree with the line move here. I like Charlotte here, plus the points. I'm not sure I trust Philly in this big favorite role. And you've got the head coach of the Hornets too as well, Borrego. He's talking about you got to treat this little back-to-back against Philadelphia like a playoff series. You know how in a playoff series you don't want to go down 0-2 in a playoff series. You use that exact line of thinking. We don't want to go 0-2 here in this back-to-back against Philadelphia. So I think you get a good effort from the Hornets here as road dogs, and I think they can get inside the number. Connor, what's your thoughts here, Hornets and Sixers?
I'm with you here. I think the Hornets play better. I stayed off that the other day, and Sixers just blew them out. I'm a little worried here. I wish that it's down to 8. I lean with the Hornets. I know a lot of people are going to go right back to the Sixers here, and why not? They've been good. They're really good at home. I look towards the total a little bit. I like a little bit better. I think there's an under. I don't think the Sixers shoot it that well. I think it's just a little bit low scoring. I mean, it was really, they scored on them, tons last time. I think it's a little bit low scoring. I like the under, and I lean with the Hornets. I don't know if I'll get to the window with it, but I like this under in this one.
Yeah, I think I agree with you in that rationale there. Regression to the mean. Philly shot extremely well. Very difficult to expect them to duplicate that here tonight in this game. Charlotte's still trying to integrate, Gordon Hayward, new face. Of course, they draft LaMelo Ball. He's going to have nights where he's good, nights where he's not good. His first-year player. You got to expect that from someone in their rookie season in the NBA. We'll see if we get the good LaMelo Ball tonight. Skee, what's your thoughts? Charlotte, Philly.
I think I disagree here. This Charlotte team, they haven't been very, very good offensively, and the Sixers have been great defensively. So the last game we saw them, we didn't really see much defense. We saw the opposite, and I think that was kind of an outlier game. Sixers didn't really play much defense, and I think that's what we'll see more of in this game. And as a result, I don't think Charlotte has that much success scoring. So I'll lean towards the Philly side. I think the number should have been closer to double digits. I just think Philly's been better in all. They're a better rebounding team, offense, defense. And if I'm looking at the total, like I said, I think it was an outlier game. Philly shot like 60%. I don't think they do that again. It was raining threes. I would look at the under or look at the Sixers.
All right, leaning to the under and the Sixers in that one. We've got Cleveland and Orlando next up on the slate. Orlando 5.5 point home favorites, 215.5 the total. We've seen the total come down just a little bit, down to 215.5. Orlando lost to Oklahoma City over the weekend. Cleveland with a come from behind victory against the red-hot Atlanta Hawks the other night. A pretty nice win for Cleveland. But from a spot perspective, you got Cleveland off a comeback win. You've got Orlando off a disappointing loss as favorites against OKC. You would think the spot is probably better for Orlando in this situation than it is Cleveland. But and I would lean in that direction. But am I excited about laying 5.5 with Orlando? Not necessarily. So I lean Orlando, but I didn't get there. It's a pass for me. Skee, let's start with you on this game. Cleveland taking on Orlando.
They kind of pull up the updated injury report, but I'm not sure if Fournier got ruled in or Ennis. I know they're both game time decisions, but the Cavs have a lot of people on the injury report as well. You know, I'm not running to the window to lay 5 with the Magic, but I want to say that's the only way I can look in this game. It's not anything I have a strong feel on, but I just think the Cavs may be missing too many guys in this game. And if I had to play a gun to my head, I would play the Magic.
Looks like both of them right now. Ennis and Fournier questionable, and of course for Fournier, you're talking about 14.8 points per game out of your lineup if he doesn't suit up tonight for the Orlando Magic. So he's questionable. He's a streaky guy. There's some games he's just terrible sometimes shooting the ball, but he's as streaky as it gets. But he still averages double figures over the course of a season, and take that out of your lineup could be difficult, a lot more difficult on an Orlando team that's not necessarily gifted offensively by any stretch. I think the potential for those absences for the Magic tonight is also why the total got bet down a little bit here to 215.5. Connor, what's your thoughts here, Magic and Cavs?
This is just a weird, tricky spot with all the guys out, like Skee was talking about. The Magic last few games have gone under, and like you said, they can struggle to score. And last year, they always were really good under team, and kind of in the bubble, that changed. And I remember watching that they were an over team, and coming out of the gate, they've been over. Defensively, I don't think they've looked as good, and that's not good if you can't score. And with these guys out, just a weird spot, like Skee said. I'd maybe take the Magic, but laying 5, it's almost 3 possessions. I'd still give a slight lean to the Cavs, but this was quick one that I really had no read on and didn't like. I'd lean the under a little bit, but those would be it. Cavs in the under maybe.
All right, OKC, Miami. We've got the Heat 9-point favorites, 214 the total. I don't have many big rules in NBA, things to do and don't do. One thing I will not do is bet against Miami after a loss, and especially a bad one. And Miami just got their teeth kicked in by Dallas on Friday night. It was it was over pretty much at halftime. In that game. Not a good night for Eric Spoelstra's team. You would expect them to obviously have a major effort and want to bounce back here. Keep in mind integrating Butler as well. First time. Again, when you bring someone back, everybody gets excited. Here's Miami, Jimmy Butler back. Let's get excited. Let's bet on Miami, right? Sometimes that throws off the chemistry. It does. It takes that game or two. Anybody that's been betting NBA for years knows that when you bring back the key cog, it sometimes throws you off for a game, maybe even 2, before things start to integrate with more cohesion in your lineup. And I think you saw signs of that with the Heat against Dallas, but I do think they'll bounce back strong here tonight. Oklahoma City, nice win for them against Orlando, playing hard for Daniel, the new coach there, took over from Billy Donovan. Give them credit for the win there. Basley's played really well. What a game he had the other night in the victory against Orlando for this OKC Thunder team. Of course, as much as I had OKC that night, and I like to support my Hamilton, fellow Hamilton, Ontario native, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on this Thunder team, no question. I wish him all the best. I don't think I wish him all the best tonight, because I laid the points here with Miami. I think they get right. And again, Oklahoma City is going to be one of those teams where if they play well, can spring some upsets, hang in games. But now they're taking a step up in class. They're facing clearly one of the best teams in the East, in my opinion, and they're facing them on a night where I would expect concerted effort and focus from the Miami Heat after that loss to Dallas. So I laid it here with the Heat -9. Connor, how about you? Thunder versus Heat.
I'm with you. You nailed it. The Heat, coming off the loss, they've been really good. And David just win-loss here this year. And they really haven't found it defensively. I think it gets better throughout the year. And when they get hot, they can shoot it. Miami got the shooters with Hero and everyone. I'm with you. I'm on the Heat here as well. You might want to look at a first half. I don't do a ton of those in quarters. Really quarters, but maybe Heat first half or split your bet up. I just think 9's a lot, but the Heat off the loss, I think they do bounce back. Because in a spot like this, I'd like to play the Thunder, but I just don't love it. I think the Heat are the lean here. I'd lean with them. Lay the 9, and I like a first half. I think it's a 5.5. It's kind
I
of
think
high.
5.5 is, the first half number. Yeah.
Yeah, the 5.5's the first half. Yeah, that's getting there. I would have liked a 4.5 or 5, but yeah, take the Heat. I like either the first half or a full game. I think they win here.
Yeah, it's a good bounce back situation. And again, if Miami's A game, if we see it tonight, it could be too much for OKC to handle. I know,
I
even
agree.
though win against Orlando. What do you think, Skee, of this one? OKC, Miami.
I'm having a hard time understanding this line. Right now at 9, like what have we seen from Miami for them to be a favorite this much? Are we still banking on last year they were good at home?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very hard for me to understand them laying that many points. I think a big problem for Miami is their two starting guards don't play much defense. Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. Like if you
right
can't play defense, you can't.
Matador defense.
I don't think you should be laying. That's just my opinion. But for people who do like the Heat, I mean, Heat off of a loss has been an angle 27-8 against the spread. I think the last 35 or so, and they shot less than 40% last game. So Heat, after shooting that bad, the last 11 they've covered. It's just the line doesn't make sense to me. The only way I could play this one would be to back the Thunder plus the 9.
All right, liking the Thunder. Hey, maybe this Heat team is just not going to be quite, at least early on here, not going to be that same group that just ran through the. And remember, Miami was really one of those teams that was benefited from the bubble. Prior to the bubble, it was a team that was good. They weren't what they were in the bubble. The bubble, they just came together, things worked, things clicked, and they had that great run all the way through the East and into the NBA Finals. May not be easy to duplicate that. And they are only 2-3. Straight up to begin the season here. And OKC has covered both on the road so far this year. So they've been remember, they took Utah down to the wire, Oklahoma City as well. So there's reasons to think Thunder can hang here, especially if something's not right with the Heat. We're going to find out if something's not right with the Heat because, if they're in a down to the wire tight clash with the Thunder, who largely aren't expected to be that great this year in the West, or lose this game, dare I say it, then we might have to start worrying about where this Heat team is at. And you mentioned it, defensively, they got just absolutely scorched by the Dallas Mavericks. Now they're stepping way down in class in terms of offensive capabilities. You go from the Mavericks to the Thunder. I get that. But to Skee's point, the defense has been very, very spotty. And that's probably being kind so far for the Miami Heat. So we'll see how it goes. Like I say, this angle has been something I've just been backing with Miami since the early part of last year. It's been so good, as Skee mentioned, 27-8. I'm just going to take it again. But I understand the concerns that Skee expressed with Miami right now. We'll see if those concerns are exacerbated with their play tonight. We'll see how they respond. New York and Atlanta. Atlanta 7-point favorites, 223 the total. I wisely, the last time Atlanta was any kind of moderate favorite, I stayed off it when they played Chicago. And sure enough, they won, but they didn't cover. I'm a little bit more interested in Atlanta as a favorite, though, tonight. Against New York. New York's got one of those looks of a team that could look great one game, horrible the next. Remember, they got blown out by the Raptors, that's still only the Raptors' first win of the season, beating this New York Knicks team. But New York responded against kind of a flat, disinterested Indiana team. I thought it was actually a really good spot for New York to not only back them, but bet against Indiana as a big favorite. It worked out. So I've had a nice little read on the Knicks, and I actually had Toronto against them. And now I'm back on fade Knicks tonight for me in this game against Atlanta. I think Atlanta bounces back. Let's not forget, tough spot. They beat Brooklyn. They had the back-to-back with the Nets. It was a very wildly, hotly contested back-to-back games. They were thrilling games, both of them, down to the wire, and Atlanta pulls them out, although Atlanta was a little bit more in control of the second meeting against the Brooklyn Nets. And then they had to play Cleveland on the back-to-back, and they ran out of gas in the second half. That's when Cleveland made their run and came back to beat the Hawks in that game. Now, there are a couple key concerns here for the Hawks from an injury standpoint. Kevin Huerter may not play tonight, questionable right now with an ankle injury, so he might be a no-go tonight. They're hoping to get Rajon Rondo back. He's missed the last couple of games due to injury. He's game time decision right now. They've already announced that Danilo Gallinari is going to miss some time here for the Atlanta Hawks. So there's some injuries here with this group, but I do think a spot's a good one for them. The Knicks have shown no consistency up one game, down the next. So I kind of like Atlanta here, -7. Not as strong as some of my other opinions on this card, but Atlanta -7 would be the side for me. Skee, what's your thoughts here, New York, Atlanta?
I don't like that those guys are out. I mean, granted, New York has some guys out too, but Kevin Huerter and Gallinari, that's just a lot of points. Not that these other guys can't score too, but that's just a lot of offense you're missing from the Atlanta side. And but that's it. I think this game is just pretty much offense versus defense. Atlanta's offense has been pretty superior. Knicks defense has looked pretty good. We'll see if it can hold up versus Atlanta today. I'm not quite sure that they do. And I would have a slight lean towards Atlanta, but I don't love it with the guys out. And I go back and forth on the total kind of with this game, just thinking, I mean, initially, I think over. But when I see the guys out for the Atlanta side, and I start to kind of lean more towards an under. So at this point, I'll lean Atlanta and I'll lean under.
I think a big thing with Atlanta here is that we know Trae Young is going to get the attention. He's going to get the accolades, going to get the headlines. I want to shout out to John Collins and DeAndre Hunter out of Virginia, who they drafted. They've stepped up. They've been big offensive contributors for Atlanta. And that's even more important, as we mentioned, with Huerter and Gallinari ailing right now for this Hawks team. They've stepped up. They've been good. They're going to need to keep getting that because it can't be just Trae Young firing 40 points and shooting the ball at high volume every night. He's going to need a supporting cast, and he's had at least those two guys stepping up for him the last, really since the start of the season. We're still talking about a season that's, 5 or 6 games old for all of these teams. So still very early in the season. But gotta like the direction, at least, the Atlanta Hawks are moving in right now. Connor, what's your thoughts here, Knicks and Hawks?
Yeah, this was key. Like initially, I looked, wow, jump on this over, at 222, but the Knicks are feisty, and they defensively, it's short year, early year, but they've been really good. I think they're like top 4 in the NBA. So yeah, the totals just got me confused. I'd still lean it over, but I don't love it. And I think 7's just a bit too much with Atlanta. That was kind of maybe at 4, but up to 7, that's just out of it. I can't take the Hawks. I don't know. Are they ready to start being this big of a favorite and win consistently? I'm not sure. And with the guys out, I don't like it too much at all. Young's he's gonna shoot a lot and see what he can. He's great, but if he goes cold, I'd lean with the Knicks and the 7 here if I had to, and I'd lean just a little bit the over. But like Skee was talking about, I don't like this feel. It's offense versus defense in this one, so I'm passing there. At the beginning, I thought, wow, I'm gonna jump all over this over, but I'm kind of pumping the brakes on it.
Yeah, if I were to tell you that the Knicks are 7th in the NBA in defensive efficiency, points per possession allowed, 1.03 points per possession this season, I would have said, no, it can't be possible. But the one thing with Thibodeau, and I'm not a Thibodeau guy, I've said that many times, he is going to look at that end of the court first and foremost.
Yeah.
And certainly we've seen that out of the Knicks so far. There's been an attention to detail, the defensive end of the basketball court. Kevin Knox, let's see if this guy can stay healthy. I mean, every game now, it seems like, is he in? Is he out? Is he playing? Let's see if he can stay on the court for this Knicks team, because obviously they were expecting a lot from him, and it's not exactly been the start to his career that the New York Knicks, one of many reasons why the Knicks fans are disappointed. Just a lot of disappointing results so far with highly touted draft picks of theirs. Kevin Knox, no exception. Boston and Toronto. We've got the Raptors, 4.5. 5-point favorites here. They've taken a lot of money. Very interesting there to see that. Total now 218.5 in this one. Boston, it's tough now, especially with 4.5, 5 now. Like, Toronto's not only got to win the game, they got to win by margin now, or some kind of margin here. It's tough for Boston because they had this down-to-the-wire game against Detroit. They struggled with a Pistons team that is no great shakes by any stretch of the imagination. Boston's been kind of up and down so far. They're now playing on a back-to-back short rest, after a down-to-the-wire game against Detroit, now traveling to Tampa Bay, which, again, reminder, Tampa Bay is where all of Toronto's home games are this year. Not an easy spot for the Celtics. It is playoff revenge, and that, I believe, playoff revenge is still undefeated straight up in ATS this year. The first meeting of a team that lost in the playoffs last year to a team playing them for the first time this year in the regular season. It's worked well. I get that angle, but things aren't right with the Raptors. Siakam is getting fouled out every game. right now with this team. Fouls out early against New Orleans, barely doesn't play much in the fourth quarter. Just crunch time execution. What we always thought of the Raptors the last couple of years when they won the title 2 years ago, even when they had a great season last year, crunch time execution, make shots, get stops late in games. They're not making shots. They're not getting stops late in games. And that's the difference. This team could be a lot better than the one win they've got right now, but their crunch time, they're letting games slip through their fingers right now in the final minute or two of these games. And when you're asking to lay 4.5, 5, and you're playing close games and you're letting games slip away, it can be a little bit difficult to trust you, in this kind of price range where you not only have to win the game, but lay 4.5, 5. The playoff revenge thing has been so damn strong this year. I probably wouldn't go against Toronto, but it's getting up there now, the number where I think now at 5, I'd leave it alone. I wouldn't trust Toronto now in this current price range. Connor, your thoughts here with the Celtics and the Raptors?
Yeah, 5's getting there. I mean, this whole playoff revenge has worked. If you like Toronto and you think they come out, take them first half if you want this playoff, because the full game, it's a little dicey. The Celtics got a bunch of guys missing. Teague's day-to-day, Smart. Green's out. But the Raptors, you said Siakam, just the foul trouble. He can't just stay in the game. Van Fleet hasn't been consistent this year. I mean, he's a good player. They're just out of sorts right now. I don't know if it's Tampa or what, it's just they're just not the same team, which they don't have the same guys as last year. I got to look Raptors first half. That'd be my only look. Even with everyone out with the Celtics, a full game at 5, I think they can hang in this one. So Raptors first half would be my only look in this game, and nothing really on the total. And maybe lean under. They played unders, but that was playoff. Different atmosphere, of course, but I'd lean the under a little bit in this one as well.
All right, I'm trying to recall all the examples. Clippers beat Denver. Mavericks beat Clippers. Blazers beat Lakers. Bucks beat Heat. First meeting since those teams lost in the playoffs to those. So it's been working. But remember, Miami actually came back, beat Milwaukee the next night after Milwaukee beat them in the first game. But the first meeting, it's been good for the team looking to avenge the playoff defeat. So it doesn't mean Toronto wins and covers, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind. Skee, what's your thoughts here? I know Celtics have been a point of contention for you right now with this Celtics team. What's your thoughts on them tonight?
Yeah, it's no way that I can back the Celtics tonight. Initially, when I look at this game, I just look at it and I'm like thinking about how the Raptors have been playing, but
yeah.
Celtics, they've been playing too many games. This is their 5th game in 7 nights. Jeff Teague sprained his ankle. Marcus Smart might be out. They're already not a deep team. And it's no way I can get to the window to back them. The Toronto, maybe they look good in this game. You say that the spread is 5 or 4.5. They have to win by margin, or they have trouble closing out games. I don't think this one necessarily could be close. I mean, Boston may just give up. They could be tired. They don't have a lot of bodies. So I think the more the game goes on, the more I like Toronto. So if I'm playing the side, that's the way I look. And I disagree with the total. It's moved all the way up to 219. Like, I don't understand. I'm looking at the guys out for the Boston side, and if you expect Toronto to win this game, they haven't been doing anything offensively. They're going to do it on the defensive end. And that's the way I see the game going. So I like the under, and I like Toronto.
All right, the under and liking the Raptors. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, I would agree with Skee on the under for sure.
Yeah,
that'd be the only way to look. I'd look.
He had 17 points before he got injured with that thumb injury yesterday, Marcus Smart against Detroit. And we know how he played and then shot the basketball in the bubble last year for them, especially against these Toronto Raptors. There was times when he was saving their bacon, honestly, in that series. So that's a big offensive when you're already down Walker, injured, Teague, there's a bunch of other guys out. So you're going to be eventually, and with 5 games in 7 days, what Skee mentioned, eventually, for as good as Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are, you're going to run these guys into the ground early in the season. There's going to be nights where the legs aren't there. You got to have your energy. You got to have your stamina if you're going to make jump shots when it comes to basketball. Simple as that. And if you don't have that, the shots are going to fall short. They're going to be off the mark. And You kind of worry about that a little bit tonight if you're the Boston Celtics with a short-handed group, back-to-back games, 5th game in 7 days. Does it maybe all add up? We saw it with the Suns last night. I don't know where they found all of a sudden a second wind or third wind or fourth wind, essentially in the fourth quarter to make that game close, but they were getting just blown out early against the Clippers last night, and they were another team, Phoenix, last night, where a lot of games in a condensed period of time. You worry about that a little bit tonight for Boston. We'll see if they can handle it. Next up on the card, we've got Dallas and Houston. Pretty good matchup here. Rockets, rather, was opening -1 up to -4 now. 230 the favorite. Obviously, James Harden news has been the catalyst for this movement toward the Houston Rockets. Now up to a 4-point favorite here in this game with James Harden's status now confirmed that he's going to be in the lineup tonight, set to return from the ankle injury. He was only out for the one game against Sacramento, but give the Rockets supporting cast credit. John Wall said, "Hey, I'm on this Rockets team. Watch me." And he had a great game the other night against Sacramento on Saturday without James Harden on the floor. Now you bring him back, and it's just amazing, guys, isn't it? The guy comes back into the lineup tonight, James Harden, and the rush to bet Houston is just it's the herd, all of them rushing to lay the points here with Houston. And I'm not saying I love Dallas here, but I'm not laying 4 with Houston here. Again, you fear for this disruption of chemistry. You know what's been going on off the court with James Harden, and trying to make a big stink about getting out of Houston, get me out of here, get a trade done. You still don't know how that's going over behind the scenes with his teammates, especially the new ones like a John Wall. Silas has had to deal with a lot here as the head coach. It's been a little bit scattershot all around with what we've seen from Houston in terms of their performance. You've got the Dallas Mavericks, of course. Luka Doncic was not unexpected, but a late scratch last night against Chicago. Now they're playing on a back-to-back here on the road with travel. They played a lot of games lately too. It's just really, really dicey for me to trust either of these teams in this game. It's an interesting one to watch, but it's one I really could make conflicting arguments for. So it's a pass for me. Skee, Battle of Texas here. Dallas and Houston. What's your thoughts?
Well, I tend to like Houston if Harden is out. So I hear what you're saying there. Dallas, I want to say Dallas can keep it close. Dallas just not the same team offensively. I'll look away from the side and I'll look more towards the total in this game. But Dallas is not that same offensive team from last year. And they're not putting up those points. They're only averaging 106.6 points per game. And if they're going to keep it close with Houston, they're going to do it on the defensive end. And when I hear James Harden, I just think he's going to dribble out the clock. It could disrupt some chemistry. Rockets aren't playing much defense, but neither team is playing at a very fast pace. So I like this game to stay under the total. And if I had to play the side, I don't want to go with Houston either. I would try to find a reason to back Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas. Maybe Dallas early because it's the back-to-back after Chicago last night. Maybe early they've got their legs more than later in the game, a first quarter maybe or first half on Dallas. That might be safer than full game. But, I'm not laying points with Houston here in this spot. With everything that's been going on, it's like they've had a whole season of drama and issues, COVID issues, James Harden issues with wanting out of there, trying to get a new coach in here, Silas. And it's funny. You got Silas now against his former team. Remember, assistant under Rick Carlisle. And Skee talked about how Dallas's offense isn't the same. Well, all Rick Carlisle said, was how Silas was a big proponent of drawing up the schemes, getting things getting the sets, calling plays out of timeouts for this Dallas team, getting them in the right spot, being a big creative mind toward that historic offensive season that the Dallas Mavericks had last year. Well, now he's on the other team now. And I think his brain power, I guess you could say, not being there for Dallas has had a little bit of an impact too on them not being able to be that same. Look, they had nowhere to go but down anyway. You're not going to duplicate the kind of season you had offensively last year as a team. There's no way you can do it. It was historic what Dallas did. But it's been maybe a little bit of a bigger fall than people thought from them offensively. It just hasn't been smooth sailing for them in terms of offensive efficiency so far this season. Speaking of which, I want to find that out here because I've got all my numbers in front of me here in terms of offensive efficiency so far. Dallas is 16th right now in the end. They're a middle of the pack team in offensive efficiency right now, points per possession, after being like the historically best offense in NBA history, one of during the season last year. So that tells you all you need to know. They are not having that same kind of success right now at that end of the floor. Connor, what's your take here? Dallas, Houston.
Yeah, they're just middle of the road. I don't like this roster very much. You know, Doncic he's the guy. If he's not a go, they're just not very good. And he's getting banged up all the time. He's gonna have to sit, you know, and it sucks. He's a young guy. He should be going every night. You know what I mean? At his age. So it's not good to see maybe down the line. I'm with you guys. I'd find a way to just the Mavs. I can't lay, especially with Harden in, makes me not want it even more. I've been a fade the Rockets guy for a few years with Harden. And in a spot like this, I would not want to take the Rockets. They might win and do it, but if Doncic plays, which I hear he is, right? That's what I heard today.
He is going to play. Now he's got a quad injury, which is, that's serious. And he's shooting 5 of 31 from the perimeter this year. That's another thing that worries you. 5 of 31, for a guy that obviously when he gets hot from 3-point range, look out, as Clippers found out when he hit the buzzer beater in the postseason last year against them. But, he's not got his shooting eye where he needs it to be, and he's got the quad injury bothering him. So bottom line is, don't necessarily expect him to be 100% tonight. And that's exactly why I didn't play Dallas, because they need him. And 2 words, Seth Curry, not Steph, Seth Curry, who's now in Philly. That was a big-time perimeter weapon for Dallas last year, especially in the postseason. No longer there. Miss him a little bit. I think, they were hoping guys like Tim Hardaway step up. Josh Richardson fill that role a little bit. But again, Josh Richardson's been I like his defense, but I think his shooting is a little bit too streaky at times for my liking as well from him. There's just concerns right now with Porzingis out, who's, of course, a big source of offense as well. So there's concerns. And I don't think their bench is as deep now all of a sudden. I mean, I'm looking for the Mavericks to have this pop from their bench, kind of like what they had at times last year in the bubble, in the playoff run. They're not necessarily seeing that from them this year so far. So a lot of issues with Dallas, and that's why I passed the game. I don't want to lay 4 with Houston, but not necessarily enamored with the Mavericks side here either. Next up on the slate, we've got Indiana, New Orleans. We've got the Pelicans, 1.5-point home favorites, 217 the total in this game. The Pelicans have emphasized better defense under Stan Van Gundy. It has been better. They've definitely taken steps forward, at that end of the floor in New Orleans. 3rd in the NBA defensive efficiency so far this season. That's solid, just barely over a point per possession allowed. So that was the focal point. And that's also part of the reason why coming into the season, I'm like, let's look for reasons to bet New Orleans under the total. They are a team that's emphasized we got to play defense. We have a coach that's going to try to get a team to play better defense, because Alvin Gentry was certainly not one of those coaches who gave a damn about defensive end of the basketball court. We've seen that from the Pelicans. That's why they're 5-1 to the under. 5 of their 6 games have stayed under the total this season. It's probably the way I would lean here in this game here. Indiana, you would expect a much better effort from them. They had that lay an egg, clunker, flat, whatever words you want to use. They were that against the New York Knicks the other night. I think they're much better tonight. Is it going to be enough to win, though, is a question? I'm not so sure, because Pelicans are putting it together, playing well. Brandon Ingram, outstanding. The more I watch Brandon Ingram every night for this Pelicans team, I love what I'm seeing. He's going to be big time, I think. Like, he made all the plays late against Toronto the other night, big free throws down the stretch to finish the game. That's a player right there. And I know Zion gets a lot of the headlines. Brandon Ingram, I think, is a player I'm even more impressed with, if you ask me, on this Pelicans team. So good game. Excited to watch. I'll lean under the total. As of right now, though, no bet for me on it. Connor, anything for you here with Indiana, New Orleans?
Yeah, sidewise, I don't really like anything either. I like the Pacers a lot. With Morin's out, I think that's a big piece. I don't know. The Pelicans, I don't know if they really have an identity yet. I think they'll be good. Like you said, I like Brandon Ingram. He can shoot the rock. Adams is inside. I think it's a hard one from a side. So with just 1 point, I mean, I'd take the Pacers and the 1.5 if I had to. But my play, I lean the under here. I like the under. I think it's 219. So yeah, It's down to 218. Yeah, I'm on the under. Shit.
Yeah, that's my lean for sure. Actually, it's down to 217, 216 and a half in some spots
Wow.
this total. But I agree with this move. Again, 5 of 6 unders. They still play pretty rapid, decent pace, New Orleans, but they're not that crazy fly up and down the court like they were under Gentry. They have at least ratcheted it back a little bit in terms of their pace numbers, and you combine that with defense that actually are focusing on it and trying to play better at that end of the court. And there's your perfect tonic for an under team after just being an extreme over team and no defense last year. Skee, go ahead. What's your thoughts? Pacers, Pelicans.
Well, Indiana's going to miss TJ Warren a lot in this game.
Yeah.
He's offense, but at the same time, who is going to guard Brandon Ingram? I don't see anybody on the roster who's going to stop him. And just looking at that, Pelicans have more than just him too, but I think they can kind of score on this Pacers team a lot easier than Pacers would score on them. And the Pacers bench is not to be trusted, in my opinion. I don't think that they can keep up scoring wise. I just think they struggle. We saw it last year. And the identity for the Pelicans, I know it's a new coach and everything, but their new identity is supposed to be playing defense. That's what Van Gundy does. That's what they've been trying to do. And they're holding teams to 102 points per game so far. So I do like the under in this game. Neither team's playing at a very fast pace. I'm looking at last 5 games. I have New Orleans as 28th, Indiana 19th. So
yeah,
I think it'll be a slower game. Indiana probably struggles to score. New Orleans, if I have to play a side, I have to go with them just because I trust Brandon Ingram at the end of the game. And I just trust their team as a whole. So give me Pelicans and give me under.
All right, Pelicans in the under. And like I said, I think it's a nice bounce back spot for the Pacers. But every time I see the Pelicans the last few games, all I see is really good fourth quarters and finding ways from this team like they did against Toronto. They blew out Oklahoma City. This is a team that's played solid basketball. I think they're getting better here. And again, with Indiana, going on the road, facing a team with the confidence. You mentioned that there could be a big matchup edge for Ingram. No adequate plus defender to match up on him tonight could be a concern as well for the Pelicans. So liking the Pelicans and the under their Skee profit in that game. Detroit, Milwaukee. We've got Milwaukee 16 and a half point home favorites, 24 the total. I get it. It's Milwaukee over Detroit. We know. And Detroit back-to-back after a tough loss by 2 against Boston. Dwayne Casey's team's fighting the good fight. You got to give them credit. They haven't rolled over in many games. They've been in a bunch of games they've played this year. But obviously it's a tricky spot now. You're going on the road. You're facing obviously a team that's clearly hands down, leaps and bounds better than you 10 times over. But again, with this Milwaukee team, they're 3-3 on the season, 3-3 straight up, 3-3 against the spread. They beat up on Chicago by 30. And if they want to, if they're A game, they're focused, they're locked in, they can win this game by 32, especially with Detroit on the back-to-back. And you look at Detroit, they played, Friday, they played Sunday, last night. They're playing again now tonight. This will be the third game in 4 nights for them. Could be tough sledding for them against Milwaukee. But I've seen this Milwaukee team. I remember taking them against New York when they were laying big points on the road and they lost that game outright. If I'm going to lay 16, all right, this is the NBA here, still professional teams with professional athletes, players on these teams. If I'm going to lay 16 with Milwaukee against anybody, I need to see quotes. I need to see some kind of evidence that, hey, we're coming out for blood against this particular team tonight. I don't know if I'm going to get that from the Bucks. So it's one of those, I can't back Detroit in this situation, but Milwaukee's one of those teams that the more I see them, unless they're coming off a bad loss where they've been just dynamite against the spread, then I'm going to stay away from them whenever they're laying points like this, especially when they're coming off a satisfying win as opposed to a bad loss. So it's a game I'm just going to stay out of entirely. Skee, what about you here? Pistons versus the Bucks with a big number here on Milwaukee.
Yeah, if Blake Griffin was in, I would like this game a lot more to go over, but I think Milwaukee's going to play at their pace. They're going to play fast. Detroit's not going to do much to stop them. So Milwaukee probably names their number in this game. And if Detroit is forced to play up to Milwaukee's pace, they probably still can get over. So I lean towards over. It's not very strong. without Griffin in there to help out. But if I had to play the side, I mean, there's no way that I would really want to back Detroit. And if I'm gonna back Milwaukee, I would have to only do it at the half. So I'll lean Milwaukee at the half and the over for the game.
All right, Milwaukee for the half and over the total for the full game as a lean, which is 223 to 224, depending on which book you're looking at. Connor, what's your take here? Pistons and Bucks.
Yeah, the Bucks. Like you talked about it, Ian. Blowout wins, blowout losses, just real inconsistent. Like Skee said, if Blake was in, if you knew he was playing for sure, I'd like it a lot more. I think this still could get over. I lean that way as well, and I'd take the 16 here. I don't love it, but I'd take 16 points. So even with the Pistons, I mean, the Bucks are the blowout team. That's just their, of the last few years, they're the blowout team. But like Ian was saying, this is the pros. I think it's a lot. I have a small play. I'll take the Pistons plus 16 here.
All right, Ted. Small play on the Pistons here, plus 16. There's too many here, in Connor's opinion, with Milwaukee. Final game of the night here on the late. That's the only late night tip off. 7 p.m. Pacific on the West Coast. Sacramento and Golden State. We've got the Kings 1-point road favorites here at New Oracle, as I like to call it, there in San Francisco. The total 134.5, 135 in this game. No, sorry, I'm looking at the college. There we go, 234.5, 235 in this game. Sacramento and Golden State. You want to bet Golden State after Steph Curry goes for 62? The night before? That's the question you got to ask yourself. And for a team that just seems this year more than ever, not that they aren't before in previous years, but of course they've had years with they've had Klay Thompson's on the floor. They've had Kevin Durant with them in years past. Just seems more than ever. They need Steph Curry to be shooting it well and producing offensively for this team to be able to win games and cover numbers. And do you trust Steph after that kind of effort? 62 points for him in Golden State against Portland. I'm not so sure. It was obviously an incredible night for him, no question. Can he get an encore performance in that after that 137-122 win, the 62 points? He broke his personal best. I think 54 was the most he had in a game prior to last night. And he ends up going for 62, 8 3-pointers in the victory as well. Steve Kerr just going on and on and on and just absolutely just showering the man with praise for his performance after that. It's just, I can't expect him to be that fresh tonight or anywhere close to that after that kind of performance. So I worry about Golden State. That's another team that's been kind of up and down here for this start of the season here for Golden State. However, there's been some money coming in on Golden State. I know Ty Halliburton, guy that they've got some high hopes for, drafted him out of Iowa State. He's going to miss. He's missing at least 2 games, it looks like, and missed, I believe, the last game as well for Sacramento due to injury. It's certainly a Kings team that coming into this game, they've definitely got a little bit of an advantage from a rest standpoint. Golden State played last night. I would probably only consider backing Sacramento here. I didn't, but I would lean in that direction at the very least toward the Kings. I would lean over the total a little bit, but not strong on that as well. But lean Kings, lean over the total in this one. Connor, what's your thoughts? Sacramento, Golden State.
Yeah, this is kind of a tricky spot. Yeah. I mean, Steph, what a huge night. I mean, does he do that again? I don't think so. Golden State's defense is still really bad. I watched that game. Portland, it's not that Golden State played good defense. They were, Steph was hitting everything. They were just missing so many shots. The Blazers did not look good last night. Wow. After that win. Kings have played well. Yeah. The Kings have played well but that's when they would be catching points over the last few years. They'd be usually getting a lot of points. I'd still small with the Kings. It's just -1. You guys know Draymond's going to play for sure? Because I have it not ready yet if he's in or not.
Let me just double check on that because I was looking for a word on that. Looks like he's going to be in. Looks like he's going to be in.
Yeah, I was waiting on that too. I thought if he was out, I'd like the Kings a little bit more. Now that he's in, I'm with the Kings a little bit, but it's small. They're favored. They just got to win it. But a team kind of on the rise in Golden State, I don't think will be very good right now. Maybe later on in the year, as the year goes on, I think they get better. They got too many, Steph's there, Draymond. They'll get better as the year goes on. Lean the Kings and a little bit the over, but that's getting up there.
Yeah, Sacramento. I'm not strong on the Kings, but I'll tell you that's the preferred side. I would only look to Sacktown here. When you consider that, the rest advantage, Golden State played last night, albeit no travel because it's still in Golden State, and Steph Curry just had that performance that was just out of his mind good last night, shooting the ball. Kings. It's probably difficult to duplicate that here tonight. You mentioned Draymond Green and his status. He's probably going to play tonight, but Steve Kerr's doing like a mini load management thing with him since he came back Friday, the first of the 2 games against Portland. They got a minutes restriction on him. Like they plan to only play him about 24, 25 minutes last night at most. So they're just working him back in gradually. They're not letting him off the leash completely, and you're going to play 35, 40 minutes just yet. They're gradually working Draymond more and more back into the rotation. I think his minutes will gradually go up, but Steve Kerr is definitely got the training wheels right now on Draymond Green since he's returned to the lineup. Skee, what's your thoughts here with Sacramento and Golden State?
I think Halliburton is a big deal for Sacramento. Steve Kerr said something before the season started, and he just kind of joked about it, but he said he wants Golden State's defensive metrics to start after their first 2 games. They played Brooklyn, they played Milwaukee. Since then, they've went 3-1. They've looked a little bit better each time. And the reason they looked better yesterday, Draymond Green, I think you have to just give him some credit. He makes an impact on the game. They give him another playmaker. And I think Golden State, I don't think they just showed up for 1 game. I think this is where they start to just quiet the critics. And I don't think the Kings are that great of a team to necessarily be. I know it's only 1 now, but I just don't think the Kings are that great of a team, especially without Halliburton. So I have to look toward. I know this is the only thing. Yes, Steph Curry had a big night last night, but as I said, I expect him to continue to show up. Somebody asked, can you trust Steph Curry to do it again? Hell yeah, you can trust Steph Curry to do it again. Do you trust everybody else to shoot? No. So when everybody else starts to show me some consistency, then I'll be more confident in it. But I will lean towards Golden State, and if I'm doing the total, I think it's going too high.
That's what I thought.
I don't think they shot 56% last night. I don't think we see that same performance again tonight. So I will lean towards the under, and if I have to bet, I would probably bet Golden State.
You know what the issue for Golden State is? Andrew Wiggins still is not really anything special. That's number 1. And number 2, and he's a countryman. I hate saying that, but I got to be honest. I'm not going to just pump your tires if you're Canadian. It doesn't work that way. You got to play it. You got to earn the comments. You got to earn the accolades. And then Kelly Oubre, holy mackerel! They thought, wow, we're getting a big time sharpshooter and a weapon here. Yeah, it's been a weapon about as dangerous as a butter knife so far.
He's not a sharpshooter. Yeah.
Warriors. Geez, talk about a struggle. Now he's probably going to get it going at some point, but clearly there's been a growing procedure here, trying to assimilate with this team. It's been difficult. Clearly, it's not there yet for him. I think he'll get better, but to say that they weren't expecting this out of Kelly Oubre when they got him in the offseason, and it's been a struggle for him. What's he average? He's not even averaging double figures, 8.2 points per game. Are you kidding? 8.2 points per game this season on average. And his average would be lower than that if he didn't have that one really good game. I think he had I think it was last Tuesday. He had a really good game, and every other game other than that one, he's just been scuffling, to find the bottom of the well, to find the basket. So that's been an issue for Golden State. So these are guys they counted on to give Curry that second, third, fourth scoring option. And obviously they've not played as well. And that's why all of a sudden it's Steph and Steph is the chef, and nobody else is helping him cook right now for the Golden State Warriors. That's the problem. And of course, their defense. What is their defense? It's gotten a little bit better, but still 25th in the NBA points per possession allowed. So you combine Steph Curry being your only offensive consistent option with a 25th ranked defense. That's why they've had their tough times, and that's why they're barely beating the likes of Chicago and teams like that so far this season. So we'll have to wait and see if Golden State nowhere to go but up, you would think. But for me, this is a tricky spot for them tonight after last night's win against Sacramento. All right, so that's the Monday card. We've got we don't have a show Tuesday, so we'd like to always open the floor in case anyone's got an early thought on any of the games on Tuesday. I know we're going to have Jazz Nets, Lakers Grizzlies, Nuggets Wolves, Spurs Clippers, Bulls Blazers. Nothing right now other than I'm going to be tempted maybe by Memphis plus the points plus whatever points they're getting against the Lakers tomorrow, because they really hung in there with the Lakers for 3 quarters yesterday, and then the roof caved in on them in the fourth quarter, and the Lakers ran away with it. Are the Lakers going to bring four quarters of full-on, execution effort, all that stuff against the team they just beat? I don't know. I know Memphis is obviously without John Morant. That's huge for them, and it's going to hurt. But I was impressed with the effort, even though it got away from them in the fourth quarter yesterday against the Lakers. Maybe I look at Memphis plus tomorrow in the rematch with the Lakers versus the Grizzlies. That's the only thing that stands out for me right now on Tuesday. I've still got to do, obviously, we've got to see what the lines are, see who's in, who's out. But right now I'm kind of interested in Memphis tomorrow. Conor, we'll start with you. If there's anything for Tuesday, that little slate of games that you're kind of looking at, not anything you've locked in necessarily, but things you might be interested in maybe betting on tomorrow's board.
Yeah, I'm interested in Memphis a little bit. The second game, I think they could maybe cover that. And I'm just not, until Brooklyn gets right, I will see this. I think it's over 3. Not that I love the Jazz, especially away, but maybe look at the Jazz catching points there. But not in love with really anything so far that I've looked at there tomorrow.
Maybe Minnesota, Denver over. Kind of interested in that as well, but we'll have to wait. 227 is the total there in that game. You talk about teams that aren't showing up defensively right now. That's Minnesota. Holy man. Oh, just a hideous defensive basketball team. If Denver doesn't get things going and hang a crooked number on that T-Wolves team tomorrow night, there's something wrong. So right now, that's what I'm kind of looking at. Kind of interested in Grizzlies plus 9.5, Minnesota, Denver over. Maybe a buy low spot with Brooklyn, laying 2.5 against Utah, but things aren't really clicking right now at the moment for Steve Nash's team, and I'd like to see them click for a game before maybe rushing to back the Nets. Skee, any initial thoughts on Tuesday's card?
I'll probably, if you like the Jazz, you probably want to get involved early. Kevin Durant, they said he's not going to play tomorrow. The Jazz do play. It's the first game of a back-to-back, so we'll see if they're that interested at the end of the game, if they're up by margin or whatever. But I probably would lean towards Jazz, maybe first half or Jazz in some form or fashion, just because I know Kevin Durant is out. And for the Laker game, I kind of lean towards, I don't think Memphis, I think they're going to struggle to score points until they get Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. back. So I'll lean under in that game.
That might be worth it because it stayed under the total.
Yeah.
It had a hot start.
I played
a lot
it.
of scoring in the first quarter, second quarter of that Laker Grizzlies game yesterday, and then it really slowed down, bogged down. Lakers tightened up and the defense, and that game ended up staying comfortably under the total yesterday. Lakers and Grizzlies, maybe more of the same tomorrow. All right, so there's your looks on Tuesday. We'll wrap up the show now with a best bet from the Monday night slate, and we're back. Reminder, we're back on Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, with the next NBA closing time show. Let's start with you, Conor. What do you got lined up for a best bet for Monday NBA?
We got our guy Noli Knows in here. I'm going to go with an under. I'm going to go with, I like the two of them, but I'll go with this one. Under 221.5, Charlotte, Philly. Under.
All right, Charlotte, Philadelphia, under. And you know what? You're getting a good number there because it's been nothing but over money today. 218.5 up to 222. So we'll give you the 222 there. Charlotte, Philly, under 222 for Conor with his best bet. Skee Profit, what do you got for best bet?
I like to give a game that I've already bet. I have another one on my radar I'm looking at that might even be a best bet, but one I've already bet, I'll go Dallas and Houston under the total. Dallas is not that same high scoring team. Give me under 220?
230.
Okay, I'll take that. 230?
230, yeah.
You're muted, Ian.
Sorry, there we go. I thought I was unmuted there. Yeah, 230.5 Skee,
230.
at
Okay.
bookmaker. So we'll give you a good number with that. Dallas, Houston under 230.5 for Skee Profit with his best bet. My best bet is going to be, let's see where we're going to go here. We're going to go with, I'm going to go with, the numbers moved on Charlotte. Let's go with Miami here. Let's do Miami -9. It hasn't moved enough to scare me off that. I kind of like Atlanta too, but I don't think Atlanta's best bet material. I like Atlanta, but I don't love them. I think I like Miami a little bit more. And again, if Miami is just, maybe the struggles continue and it's not that same team, but Miami off the loss has just been almost automatic. We'll go with that tonight. Miami -9 against Oklahoma City for my best bet on this Monday NBA slate. That'll wrap up the show. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We appreciate it. Everybody in the chat, thanks for joining us. We had a good turnout today. Again, hopefully the viewers will keep climbing now that we're going to be, getting into this habit and routine now 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific with the Pub Sports Radio NBA Closing Time Show. For Conor, Mack, and Skee Profit, I'm Ian Cameron. Enjoy the games and good luck on this Monday night. Have a good one. Cash some tickets. We'll be back on Wednesday afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. on the West Coast with the next edition of the Pub Sports Radio NBA Closing Time Show.